So we have been going through the book of Ecclesiastes, and we are today on chapter 6. Chapter 6 gives us the half of the book where, he's talking about meaninglessness and vanity. And so now we are bringing that to an end, and the next 6 chapters, he's going to be focused on something different. But if I were to ask you this question, many times this question we ask ourselves, or we say to ourselves, I will be happy, or I will be happier when, how would you finish that sentence? I'll be happier when maybe my kids are out of the house, and so I can have the house to myself and my wife, and we can, is that what would bring happiness? Or I'll be more satisfied, or I'll be happier when I finish school, or I'll be happier when I'm married, or maybe when I make more money. And so there's always a case where we are looking towards the future to find satisfaction, to find happiness. But today we are going to talk about how we can start living our best life now. We are talking about in the moment. As someone said, the present is the best gift there is, because that's what you have. You're not sure about tomorrow. You're not sure what happens when you graduate. You're not sure what happens when the kids leave the house. What you have for surety is the present. So how do we make best use of our present situation and live our best life now, not waiting for the future to determine that? So here we have 3 basic questions or scenarios of misery, according to the preacher, that he's looking at. One is riches without enjoyment. So he sees an evil under the sun, that people have riches, they have wealth, but they have no enjoyment. And he's wondering, what is up with that? Well, why is it that, people have all these riches, but they have no enjoyment? Then the other situation is work without satisfaction. People have work and they're trying to accomplish their desires, but they have no satisfaction. I mean, can you imagine going to work every day and you're spending 8 hours at work and there is no satisfaction? And so he's asking, what is the point of that? And then the last part of it is questions without answers. So basically saying there are some things in life that we will have no answers for, or until we are able to look to God to find the answers. Because in our lifetime or in our present situation, there seems to be no answer. So we are trying to create now a solution to these problem. These are like thesis statement that the preacher is making, that people are wealthy but they have no enjoyment, and that people are working without satisfaction, and there are questions without answers. So let's look at our first misery as according to the preacher here. And so in Ecclesiastes chapter 6 verse 1 and 2, he says, there is an evil which I have seen under the sun, and it is common among men, meaning that this is something that is not just for one person or few, but this is something that is popular among humankind. And here it is, a man to whom God has given riches and wealth and honor, so that he lacks nothing for himself of all he desires. So God has given him money, he have wealth, he have stocks, he have popularity and honor. And so everything that he wants, anything that he wants, he's able to buy. He have enough money to buy. He can buy an island if he wants to. So there is nothing lacking because of desires. Everything that he desires, that money can buy, he can buy. Yet, the wise man says, God does not give him power to eat of it. But a foreigner consumes it. This is vanity, and it is an evil affliction. So when he says that God does not give him the power, in other words, God is the one, as we have discovered before, is the one who allows, who gives us the ability to enjoy wealth, give us the ability to enjoy the fruits of our labor. But for some reason, this man is not connected to God. This man have no relationship with God, and therefore all of his wealth, all of his popularity, all of his riches cannot give him satisfaction. And the point is here, he doesn't even have the power to eat it. Maybe because for some misfortune in his life, right? Something happens, and so he's not able to benefit from his hard work. I mean, picture somebody who you've been working all of your life and you're saving up for retirement and you're planning to travel the world. But then you have a stroke, and therefore you can't travel the world anymore. You can't use the wealth that you have accumulated. And therefore someone else have to take it. Maybe your children, maybe 5 cousins, or even the government consumes it. And you who have worked so hard, you're not able to enjoy it. And that's why he says an evil affliction. I mean, something is wrong with this picture. Something is wrong with this picture. So our first point here today is, do not let riches deceive you. I mean, it sounds simple, but we are very much deceived by riches. I mean, we are. Because riches is telling us something. And you know, for me personally, I hate to be deceived. You know, I prefer to make a mistake, right? I make a mistake knowing that I make a mistake. But when I am deceived, I don't think any of us love to be deceived. But somehow, we allow riches to deceive us. So let's go to what Jesus said. And he was talking about the sower who went out to sow seed, and some fell on the wayside. And then he's explaining one part of those that were chewed up. So he said, now, these are the ones sown among thorns. They are the ones who hear the word, and the cares of this world, the deceitfulness, look at this, underline that, the deceitfulness of riches and the desires for other things, entering in, choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful. You see, the seed was planted. The seed was supposed to produce fruit. But somehow the seed got choked out because the soil, which is representing us, we allow the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches, because riches are telling us that if you have me, then you will be happy. If you have me, then all will be well. If you have me, you will have all the pleasures of this world. And so, day by day, night by night, years have passed, and we have been deceived by riches. Because it's telling us, forget about prayer meeting, forget about Sabbath worship, go and make some money, because there you will find contentment, there you will find joy in your life. And how much we go after it, because we see the people We see those who have more than we do. It's like a neighbor who saw a new neighbors coming to the neighborhood, and they were bringing in all these things, all these nice furnitures, and everything seems to be luxurious, and they have everything that money could buy. And the neighbor said to them, well, show me what you have, and let me show you how I can live without even what you have, how I can enjoy life without even all those things that you have. You see, sometimes we believe that we have to have all these things to find enjoyment. But Jesus said that the deceitfulness of riches. So are you deceived by riches? Are you deceived by the American dollar, by trying and trying? You see, we talk about the American dream, and people living all over the world, putting themselves to harm, putting themselves even at the risk of death, trying to come to America to get piece of the American dream because they have been deceived by riches. And we who are here are also deceived by riches. But Solomon said, if a man begets 100 children and lives many years, so that the days of his years are many, but his soul is not satisfied with goodness, or indeed he has no burial, I say that his stillborn child is better than he, for it comes in vanity and departs in darkness, and his name is covered with darkness. You see, Solomon is saying because children was an asset then. You know, so if you have, of course he's exaggerating here, so he's trying to make a point. He said, if you have 100 children, this is like you having all of these resources. Back then where children were like the retirement fund for parents. When you have a lot of children, then you can make sure that this one is going to give you something and this one is going to give you something, so you have a lot. That is if the children are grateful. Sometimes children leave their parents hanging. But children, the Bible says, blessed is the man who have the arrows, whose home is filled with children. They are like arrows. So in other words, Solomon is saying, if you have all these assets, all of these tools with you, you have so many children that you are rich, and you can live your later days knowing that they are going to provide for you, and then your lifespan has been increased, so you have long life on this earth. However, but his soul is not satisfied with goodness. You have all of these things. You have everything that money can buy, but somehow you're empty. Somehow satisfaction is not guaranteed. And he says, you have no burial. In other words, you have all these children, but somehow they did not give you a proper burial. See, in those days, having a proper burial was important. And the only way you can have a proper burial if you have people who love you and people who care for you, who will bury you properly. So this man has all of that while he was alive, but then he was empty because his soul was not satisfied with goodness. And in the end, because of his selfish nature, because of who he was, he had no good burial. At the funeral, no one had any good thing to say about him, because his money was his God. And then so Solomon now compare this person, this rich person, this person who have all these assets, compare him to a child who was born dead. What a comparison. This child haven't seen the day, haven't seen the sun. This child was covered in darkness. However, Solomon compared him, this man who lived an empty life, with him. And so he goes on to say, though it has not seen the sun, that's the stillborn child, has not seen the sun or known anything, this has more rest than that man. Even if he lived 1,000 years twice, but has not seen goodness. Do not all go to one place. I mean, listen to what Solomon is saying. That the person who has all the riches of the world, everything that money could buy, but they have no satisfaction. They are empty because God has not given them the gift of satisfaction. Then a child who is born dead has more rest than this man, has a better life than this man, so to speak. And so even though that this man goes on to live 1,000 years, that will be a waste of time, because both of them, the dead child and this man, they are going to end up in the same place, and that is death. So what good was the life of this man who have all that the world has, but he lives his life in misery, finding no peace, finding no happiness, finding no joy? Therefore, the stillborn child, whose name is forgotten, who never saw the sun, who disappeared into darkness, whose life has really no meaning, Solomon said that even that person is better than a man who has not received the gift of enjoyment, the gift of satisfaction. So satisfaction is a gift from God. Do not allow wealth to deceive you. For too long it has. For too long we have been deceived by wealth. Second point that Solomon is making here is, be content with what you have by controlling your desires. Be content with what you have by controlling your desires. The problem is our desires. That is the problem. If you control your desire, then you're on your way to living your best life. Because our desire is what is driving us. Our desire is what is causing us to make these sacrifices. Our desire is what causing us to get sick, working too hard. Look at what he says in verse 7 and 8. All the labor of man is for his mouth, and yet the soul is not satisfied. For what more has the wise man than the fool? What does the poor man have, who knows how to walk before the living? I mean, all the labor of man is for his mouth. Now the word mouth here, and some version they will say for his appetite, for his desires, basically. He's using the mouth as what we use as consumption. So all of our labor is to get the goods, to get the services, to consume these things, right? We consume a vacation, we consume cars. It doesn't mean that we are eating them, but we are using the service of the car. And over time, the car depreciates, and then we use up the car, and the car is no longer good, so we get a new car. So that's consumption. So Solomon is saying that we labor, we work hard, we go to work, we have our jobs for consumption purposes. We want to find contentment. We want to find peace. We want to find satisfaction. So we go and we work. So therefore we can live a better life. But the problem is, yet our soul is not satisfied by our work. We work so hard, struggle so much, go through all the pain, but yet we are not satisfied. And then he asks, what more has the wise man? Those of us who claim that we are wise, that we are well educated, what more do we have than the fool who's doing the same thing? So the wise man and the fool end up the same place. And then he said, the poor man. You see, sometimes we believe that only the rich man is greedy. We believe that only the rich is consumed with the love of money. But you see, the poor man is the same thing. We have the desire, and sometimes our desires make us poor. Because we buy things that have no value, things that do not increase in value. We spend so much money on consumption goods, and it just consumes for the time being and not providing assets for tomorrow. But the thing about this poor man, according to Solomon, the poor man knows how to walk before the living. You see that the poor man is disguising his dissatisfaction. The poor man is concealing that his work is also for nothing. And so, as people of God, we sometimes think that we are not greedy, we are not striving for the win because we don't have a lot of money, but that's not the point. The point is not really the amount of money that you have. The point is the desire that you have. Are you able to control your desire? The Bible says, better is the sight of the eyes than the wandering of desire. This also is vanity and grasping for the wind. Better is the sight of the eyes. In other words, he's saying, better you have a bird in the hand than have two in the bushes. Better is what you can see right now. Better is the wife that you have right now than the one you think your wife should be, or the one you think you should have married, or the one you wish you should have married. Better is the person you are with. Better is the thing that you have. Better is the family that you have right now than the one that you think you will have in the future. Better is the sight of the eyes than the wandering of desire. We are always desiring, and so that is why we have conflict in marriages, because husbands and wives, we are not satisfied with who God has given us. And so we desire someone better, desire someone who will do this for us. But as the saying says, the grass always looks green on the other side. On the other fence, in the other yard, yes, the grass looks greener because you're looking at it from afar. I can tell of this because sometimes I look at my lawn and I see, why is there so much weeds here? Well, why isn't it as green as the neighbor's yard? But you go over there and you understand that what makes the neighbor's yard look so green are the weeds in the lawn. But you see, from a distance, you don't know that. And so you wish you have green grass like that. And so we are looking at people's life from the outside, and we drive by expensive neighborhood, and we have people with expensive cars, and we are saying, oh, this person have it made. This person must be happy. They must be a loving, happy family because they have everything that they need. They have everything. Everything that they need, they have. But all that is just something from the external that we don't know what's going on the inside. This is from another version. This is how they translate this verse. What the eye see is better than what the soul desires. This too is futility and a striving after the wind. So what the eye sees, what the eye see is basically what you have. That is better. Then what is soul, what your heart is telling you that you need? What is telling you that you need? You see, a man, he realized that, you know, his house was living out his purpose. And so there are a lot of more expensive homes in the neighborhood. And so he said he's going to put his house up for sale. So he put his house up for sale, and then he desired to buy a better house. So he hired a realtor to find him the property of his dreams, the best. And so his house was listed on the market. And so one day while he was looking through the newspaper, so he was looking for houses, and so he saw this particular house, and this house caught his attention. And immediately he called his realtor and said, I found the house. I found the house of my dreams, the house that I need. And so he started describing the house to the realtor, telling the realtor what the house has, and all of the luxury and all of the things that he wanted, the things that he wanted his dream house to have. The neighborhood and everything was what he wanted. And so the realtor looked at it and looked at the newspaper and what he was saying. And the realtor said to him, sir, but this is your house. This is the house that I put on the market for you. This is the house. You see, his eyes could not appreciate his presence. He had a desire for something more, but the desire was right there fulfilled. His present circumstances was what he wanted, but he could not see it because his heart was deceitful. And many times, though we have it right there with us, but somehow our desires, somehow the deceitfulness of riches is telling us, no, this is not it. And so we long for something better. This is what Blaise said, around us, we everywhere behold a busy multitude, restless and uneasy in their present situation. They are instantly employed in accomplishing the change of it. And as soon as their wish is fulfilled, we discern by their behavior that they are as dissatisfied as they were before. This longing for more, this desire, it is a disease. And unless we get rid of the disease of always desiring more, then we will never be satisfied. Because when we get that thing that we wanted, we will realize that, oh no, this is not it. There has to be something else. And we will always striving for the way, trying to capture it, but it is eluding us. Trying to take hold of it, but it is like the wind, it's like smoke. And we can't, for some reason, find it. So we have to be content. Paul said that to be content is gain. As a matter of fact, he said, we use the text, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. But Paul was really saying God will help him to understand how to be content. Because he said, I know how to live in poverty. I know how to live in riches. Therefore, he can be at peace. No matter what he has, he can be content. And only through God that he can gain that kind of contentment. Only through him that he can reduce that desire that he may have. Oh yes, that's the problem with us. Point number 3, we have to accept the fact that we do not know what is best for us, but that God knows what is best. You see, we do not always know what is best, but God knows. Paul, in Ecclesiastes 6, verse 10 to 11, whatever one is, he has been named already. For it is known that he is man, and he cannot contend with him who is mightier than he. Since there are many things that increase vanity, how is man the better? What Solomon is saying here is, God has foreordained everything. Everything is in God's plans. He has made it already. For he is known that he is man. So in other words, we have to understand that we are humans. We cannot contend with God. In other words, we should not fight God. We should not argue with God. He is mightier than we are. We are his creatures. God knows what is best for us. And therefore, in order for us to find joy and satisfaction in our lives, we have to understand and give God credit for being God. Let God be God and let us be his subjects. How is man to get better? How is man better than God? Sometimes we behave as if we know more than God. For who knows what is good for a man in life? All the days of his vain life, which he passes like a shadow. Who can tell a man what will happen after him under the sun? Who knows what is good? Those, when we have a car or any other appliances, we go to the manual to find instruction as how to care for these appliances. And we follow the owner's manual of how we can better take care. Who knows better of how to take care of these appliances than the persons who made them? Well, it is the same for us. Who knows what is good for man in life? Who knows it but the one who created us? And the one who is telling us how we are to live. Who has given us the manual for success. The manual to live our best life ever. Who knows that but God himself? He says all the days of his vain life, in other words, his life that is short, his life that is like a vapor, his life that passes like a shadow. Who knows what is best for this man but the creator of man himself, who is God? Who can tell what will happen in the future? You don't know until God is directing your life. God is leading you down a path so that he can prepare you for the future. You cannot see it now. You may not understand it now, but you have to trust God in the questions of life that seem to have no answer. You are not mightier than God. No, you're not. For who knows what is good for a man during the few days in which he passes through the fleeting life like a shadow? Who can tell a man what will come after him under the sun? Brothers and sisters, you are not in control. You don't have the capacity. You don't have the wisdom. You don't have the knowledge to be in control of your life, because you will be making the wrong decisions every day because you have no idea what's ahead. So during these small or shadows of our life, that is like a shadow, during these fleeting days of our life, let us accept the fact that you may not know what is best for you, but God knows. Are you willing to trust God today and say, Lord, I'm going through something in my life. I don't know where it leads. I can't understand it. I'm overwhelmed by the situation. However, I'm going to trust you that you know what is best for me. And so, brothers and sisters, I just want to tell you that we can start living our best life now. Don't put it off for tomorrow. Don't put it off for 10 years from now. Don't put it off for when you find a spouse, for when your children get older. No, no, no. Those times will have their own problems. Those times will have their own situations. We have to start living our best life now. And in order for us to do so, we have to remember that we should not be deceived by the riches of this world. Oh yes, there's some who tell us, well, let us gather as much as we can. Let us work hard and increase our living standard. Yes, that is good. But that if you are doing that to gain satisfaction in life, you will be disappointed. Because the riches is deceitful. Therefore, it will not tell you the truth. It will not tell you that there are many who have millions of dollars, who have homes, houses, but no homes, who have money but no health, whose marriages are under wraps and money can't save them. Yes, riches, it is deceiving because you see someone driving, you see someone living, and you assume that they're enjoying the best of life. But remember that riches, it is deceiving and it does not tell us the truth about happiness. Control your desires. Control your desire. There are always going to be new things in life. You know, I had iPhone 6 and you know some companies that outdid it's time for you to upgrade. But it was working fine for me. It was doing its job. So one day my phone fell and the entire glass cracked. I could not make a call. If I want to make a call, I had to connect it to my Bluetooth. But after a while, that wasn't working. And it actually pained me. You know, it was a pain for me to go and buy a new phone. And so, you know, some kids saw me with the iPhone 11 and they said, oh, you upgraded, wonderful. I said, this is not wonderful. This was painful for me. To buy a new phone, $1,000? No way. But sometimes we imagine that people are happy sometimes when their cars break down. They're happy when their appliance is damaged, when the phone is damaged, giving them an excuse, so to speak, to upgrade. But you see, the desires of always getting more. The fact is, as you get more, it's like you eat and your appetite gets bigger. It's like feeding teenage boys. Seem not ever to be satisfied. The more you give them, the more they eat, and that is it. That is our desires. Therefore, in order for us to find contentment, we have to curtail our desires, control your desires, and accept the fact that that we may not know what is best for us, but God knows. God knows. So there are going to be unanswered questions. There are going to be things that we don't understand. But we have to place our trust in God. So today, do you want to take this journey of living your best life now? Not postponing it for tomorrow. No. But today, understanding that the present is the best that God has given us. This is the day that the Lord has made. Yes, we will rejoice. And we will be glad and wake up every morning with step in our toes as we go out to work. Let us enjoy life as God has intended. Let us live our lives with meaning. Let us spread joy. Let us enjoy the fruits of our labor and live the life that God has intended it, whether we make $100,000 or $50,000 a year. God is able to keep us. He's able to provide for us. And He's able to give us the contentment that we need. Yes, we can do all things through Christ that gives us strength. So today, He alone is God. He alone can lead us down the path. And we place our trust in Him because He is Jehovah. He is Adonai. He knows best. And He has your future and my future in His hands.